Hey, how you doing? I'm Chuck. I'm with News for You TV, and tonight we're interviewing Fred Bassett here at the Guitar Center. That's where he works in the daytime. At night, he's a rocker like the rest of us. So hey, Fred, how's it going, buddy?
Good, man. Good.
Everything going well?
So far, so good.
You're playing a local band here called Akacia. Can you give us some information on the band? Who the guys
Sure,
are?
man. On singer and guitar, we got Charlie Dykes. Awesome singer. I mean, just absolutely awesome. One of the most phenomenal guys I've ever worked with. On guitar, lead guitar, we have Mike Blimker, and he's a great player, real steady player. And on the drums behind me, we've got Joel Dorman. Used to be with a band back in the 70s and 80s called Kicker, years and years ago. That was back in the Taylor Bay days.
Oh yeah, Taylor Bay. So what kind of music y'all guys play?
We do a little bit of classic rock, a little bit of the college stuff now, and a little bit mix of everything. We've tried to be a little bit more diverse than most of the bands in Evansville, just so we could appeal to a larger audience. And we've also been trying to do that to venture outside of Evansville quite a bit. So most of our gigs are actually outside of Evansville.
Right. Now me and Al, the camera guy, we caught y'all guys the other night in Double Dukes. Y'all guys was throwing down pretty hard.
Man.
You got some more gigs in the area where you're gonna be at?
Yeah, we've got some coming up at O'Brien's. Just go on MySpace. It's www.myspace.com/Akacia, AKACIA.
Right.
And look it up. It has our schedule on there. It has some video clips, and you never know when you might.
So what do you think about the local music scene around here? How's it going?
Man, I've been around here a long time, and I tell you what, things are changing. There's a lot of younger guys coming up, extremely talented bands coming out. Evansville's always been inundated with a lot of places to play and a lot of bands. You and I both been there on both sides of the fence on that one. But I tell you what, I think the music scene is definitely changing to a little bit different, a different atmosphere. Back when I was playing with Stillwell Rodenberg, you really could showcase bands a little bit more back then than you can now. Now it's I don't know if it's more of the show or the music. I feel like a little bit of the music has lost. I don't know if I can explain that very well, but I feel like that people come out to be entertained anymore rather than they do to sit and see actual musicians
right.
play. You know, it's not a musician's world anymore, at least in this area. I don't feel like it is, because I see a little bit of difference in the crowds, and definitely see a difference in bar owners' opinions on bands.
Right, I know where you're coming from.
I don't want to get into, but
right. Yeah, I understand about that. Now you already mentioned some big heavy hitters that you played with, like Stillwell, Rodenberg. Remember John Holliday?
John Holliday, great John Holliday, Danny Erkman. Those guys are great, man. I mean, Tommy, Danny, and Carl were just like brothers to me, and Tommy and I go way back. I mean, I started playing with Tommy back in the Beat Daddy days. A lot of people don't know that I was with the Beat Daddies for a while. I was probably the only bass player that ever quit, but all the rest of them got fired. But I tell you what,
that's
man,
the music world.
Yeah, it's a music world. But yeah, Tommy and I started off a good relationship there, and we had a good working relationship. We'd sit on the bus and we'd sit down and write stuff back and forth.
Right.
And he and I have been together, I guess, for the last 18 years, except when I moved off to Florida for a few years after I finished out with Stillwell Rodenberg, and then I moved off to Florida and came back. And then Tommy and I actually got back together with his son, Tommy Jr.,
right.
and did a short little stint, a couple of years, with a band called the Hellcats.
Right. I got to catch y'all guys over in Henderson at Big Daddy's one time playing.
Yes.
It's a hell of a show.
Yeah, Big Daddy.
A lot of people don't know this, but you did a Department of Defense tour. You want to
Yes,
elaborate on some of that?
dude.
I mean, for our soldiers out there, which was really cool.
Oh man, I tell you what, I never had the opportunity when I was coming out to actually be in the military. My circumstances did not allow me to do it. So
right.
my way of giving back I guess it was late 80s, early 90s. I actually did 2 tours overseas with the Department of Defense. Sort of like USO only on a smaller scale. We went to more remote places, but we played to just as big a crowds in some areas. I've been to 27 different countries. I've been to Iceland, Germany, Holland, Portugal, Azore Islands. I mean, just you name it. I've been just about on every continent I think that there is. And just to give back a little bit of what I could and say thank you to some of these guys. I mean, we would go into remote places where these guys haven't seen Americans in 2 years.
Right.
You know, and they've been on this little bitty, we went to one real remote site in Germany that had 7 people on the whole base, you know, and they hadn't seen anybody. Man, they took our equipment out, they gave us a big barbecue and threw a big party and everything. It was great, man, but just to see the look on those guys' face when you come up and actually say, man, we appreciate what you do.
Right.
You know, and then you just give them a little taste of home. We're more goodwill ambassadors than we're entertainers. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. The guys were awesome. We got treated like kings when we were over there. Of course, back then I was doing more top 40 stuff. And
right.
Not
if I remember right,
blues.
I turned down the position to go with you.
Yes, you did.
My
Yes, you did. Yes, you
You
did.
can bring it
man.
up. I said no. I should have went. Yeah.
Yeah, we all had different circumstances.
You're also a big, huge Ted Nugent fan.
Oh,
Is he
dude.
your inspiration or what?
Dude,
Uncle Ted.
I'll tell you, love him or hate him, he's Ted Nugent
Yeah.
through and through, man. I mean, you can agree with him or you can not, but one thing you can't say is that he doesn't tell you how he feels.
Right.
You know, I mean, you look on my MySpace and you'll see 2 or 3 excerpts from Uncle Ted there. I saw Ted for the first time, I guess, when I was about 11 or 12 down at Roberts Stadium, and I had a broken legs in a cast. It's 12 degrees outside. I'm walking in with crutches, you know, down the steps. And I get down there on the side of the stage, and I guess about 2 songs into his whole night, I turned around my buddy and I said, "That's what I want to do."
Right.
And ever since then, that's it, man. And I don't know if you saw him when he was here last time.
I got to see him with Kiss.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
He wasn't headlining at that time.
No.
But it was still a good show.
And this last time he was here, man, he's, 59 years old. He's still got it. Still got it.
Right. You know, he's kicking ass.
Yeah.
Before we get any further, what kind of gear do you play in Akacia?
Well, for the longest time when I was playing with Tommy and the Beat Daddies and those guys, I was using pretty much Hartke amps, SWR cabs, using 410s. When we played over live, actually, Bruce Jeffries will tell you.
Good old
He
Bruce.
says, yeah, really good old Bruce. He'll tell you, you know, Fred Bassett, the loudest bass player I ever worked with. You know, and he'd have to come up when we were playing outside at the Handy Fest and say, "Fred, you got to turn down a little bit. I can't get you in the PA." But back then, I was using a Hartke 7000 head with 2 SWR cabs, and now I've switched over as I've gotten older and the back's gotten weaker and the stomach's gotten bigger. I've switched over to Mark Bass. It's an Italian manufacturer, kind of like boutique type style heads and stuff. And his are 500 watts and weigh 6 pounds.
Right.
And I've got a Mesa Booty 15, single 15 that I use, and I got a couple more 410 cabs, and I've got, as far as the basses that I use all the time, I've got a Dean Razor, which is no longer being made, that I absolutely love. It's real small body, lightweight, doesn't hurt the back or shoulders or anything else. I also have a couple of custom-made Kubicki basses made by Philip Kubicki out in California. And I've still got my old Ampeg EB1 with the scroll headstock that I got from old Dave.
You still got the old David Kruger amp that you
Oh no, dude, man,
That's good.
I remember when we were playing together, man. It's like, you know, Chuck had his big old full stack, and I had mine right up here on top, and that was it. Little amp about this big. I keep up with him.